I think we should call it your grave.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Ha ha ha! Mine is an evil laugh. Now die! Ah!
Hey everyone. So I've been thinking about solutions to the problems that I've been contemplating for a while. If you've seen my videos about the traditionalism or egalitarianism cycle, or my latest one about life history cycle, I basically came to the conclusion that this cycle can't be broken. This is all a response to biology and environment, and it's just going to keep repeating itself. However, several MGTOW, including myself, held out hope that through transhumanism, through the use of things like artificial wombs, cloning, sex robots, we can rid ourselves of the need for women entirely. If men could be in control of their own reproductive success, if they didn't have to compete for women, then maybe this would finally free humanity from gynocentrism. However, after thinking about it for a while, I actually don't think even that would be enough. Now allow me to explain. Right now, in 2015, you can buy a very realistic sex doll right now for about $2,000. Yet these aren't very popular, and it's because they don't do anything. They're just lifeless, women-shaped masturbatory aids. They're basically a fleshlight that costs a lot more because it's an entire woman's body and not just her vagina. And because they don't have a personality, they don't fulfill what the man truly desires in a woman. If a man just wants to have an orgasm, he has two hands for that. Unless he's born without hands or lost them in something. I don't know. Even then, he could just, squish two pillows together and go to town. I don't know. The point is, a man doesn't need a lot to just have an orgasm. Men don't want a woman just for sex. And this is evident when you look at the lack of demand for sex dolls and the anticipation for the sex robot. Now, what is the difference between a sex doll and a sex robot? Well, the sex robot would have some semblance of a personality. It's something that the man could actually have somewhat of a relationship with. Now, it sounds kind of weird to talk about having a relationship with a sex toy, but that's what men really want. I think a man doesn't need any fancy gizmos to get an orgasm. What men really want is a relationship, but they want a relationship with something that they don't have to fear. I mean, women have been liberated from everything, all their responsibilities. There's nothing stopping them from absolutely destroying a man's life. Now a man can't trust a woman. He has to constantly be on guard of, is today the day she takes all my shit and destroys my life and makes me a wage slave? That sort of anxiety will get in the way of any sort of relationship. But if a man has a sex robot, he can do whatever he wants with it. He doesn't have to worry about it leaving him and taking half his shit on the way out. And you see this, even before sex robots, you see like these weeaboo guys with their waifu pillowcases. They have some anime chick on like a body pillow. And they'll cuddle with it. They treat it like it's a real person. People laugh at them about, how pathetic it all is. It's really sad. It's not something to be made fun of. These men want to have a relationship, but because gynocentrism is so out of control, they're forced to make do with a body pillow with a picture of a girl on it. Not because they can't get a woman, but because they can't trust a woman. Now, I want you to think long term, and now I'll talk about why I actually don't think even robots will solve the problem. I actually believe that it will all lead back to where we are now. I want you to imagine 100, 200 years in the future. It's the far future. We have flying cars finally and all that good stuff. We're flying in space, traveling to Mars, the whole 9 yards. Now, I want you to imagine we actually have fully functional sex robots. They have a personality. Men can have relationships with them. They don't get old. They never say no. They're the perfect woman for a man's needs. We'll put it that way. Would not a man want to make that personality of the robot as realistic as possible? If the man wants to have a relationship with this robot, it only makes sense that he'd want the robot to be more and more lifelike. And given the advancements over time, would not the robot eventually develop some sort of artificial intelligence? Now, I'm not talking about artificial intelligence in the science fiction sense, like it's going to become self-aware and start murdering people. I'm just talking about artificial intelligence in the way that you see in video games, where like an NPC can work within the parameters of the game's story to give off a realistic performance. There are certain movies and stuff like that where talk about this, these artificial women, like in the movie Her, where the woman's just a computer program, but it responds and has discussions and stuff just like a real person. Isn't this what a man would ultimately want in his sex robot? And given this amount of advancement, given this amount of artificial intelligence, can you not see the very distinct possibility of robots being granted rights? And once robots are granted rights, the allure, the entire point of a sex robot becomes moot. The entire point of having a sex robot instead of a real woman is because the robot doesn't have rights. The man is in complete control of the relationship. He has nothing to fear from the robot because the robot is just a robot. But once the robot is given rights, now the man has to fear what the robot might do, what someone else might do. And can you not imagine some sort of robot rights activist group passing a law mandating that these robots are given certain programming to make sure that the man gets their consent or some other bullshit where the man is no longer in control of the relationship with the robot? And that being the case, would not the man then walk away from the robot essentially by no longer buying them? He basically realized that now that these laws have been passed, now that these robots don't no longer have to listen to him, he has to now get their consent and all this other shit. Now there's no point in having a robot at all. He can no longer control the relationship, so he walks away, turning to maybe simpler things like just regular masturbatory aids or the tried and true hand and lotion combo. And then we're back to exactly where we are now. So what did sex robots ultimately accomplish? They really accomplished nothing. The problem isn't even sex robots. It's really, ultimately, men are their own worst enemy. Men want to have a relationship with a woman. Men don't just want something to put their penises in. They want to have a relationship. They want that companionship. Now just replace modern feminism and modern women's liberation with some sort of robot liberation, some sort of robot rights coalition, and you'll get the same exact results. The problem isn't the sex robots, it's not even women. Women aren't even the problem here. The problem is a society that liberates women and takes away the responsibility and authority of men over the relationship. And I really don't think it's ever going to go away. It's going to be a constantly repeating cycle. And the thing is even in the patriarchy stage, where women are essentially men's property, that doesn't last very long. It's one thing to, conquer another tribe or group and take their women as sex slaves and abuse them. Because they're the other. They're not part of your tribe. They're trophies, they're booty, they don't deserve rights. However, when these women are your mothers, your sisters, your daughters, now they're no longer the other. They're now part of your family. And men love women. They love their family. They love their children. They don't want to abuse and oppress them. And this softness in men, this love for women, ultimately always leads to our downfall. We want to believe, because we want that relationship with women, we want to believe that they are capable of more than they are. We want to elevate them to our level. And that ultimately dooms us because then women take advantage of us. Even replacing them with sex robots, we would constantly try to bring them up to our level. Now, unlike biology, it is possible for these robots to approximate something a little bit more compatible with males than a real woman. There would be no need for hypergamy because the robots don't serve a reproductive function anyway. So it wouldn't be as bad. But I can see it leading to the same result. And it ultimately culminates when the robots are given certain rights and the man loses control over his property. And this is the same exact dynamic in the same exact order that happened with actual women. So it would be the same result. It would be the same sequence of events. Except instead of men losing control of women, it would be men losing control of their sex robots. I mean, let me know what you guys think. This is kind of it's a depressing conclusion. I don't think there's actually a solution to this because men are just, we want to have that companionship. We don't want to be the bad guys. The only way to keep this from happening is to just be a complete sociopath towards women, to not give a shit what they think, and to just oppress the shit out of them without any remorse. Which again, that's works for a while when the woman is the other, but when you love them, when they're your family, you don't want to do that to them. So I don't even know what the solution is. If it's not sex robots and artificial wombs and transhumanism, what is it? So let me know in the comment section what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.